Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For the third time today, for people who have been following me from the evening, a very good evening to all of you and a very warm welcome to all our distinguished guests, panelists, and industry leaders. On behalf of Valuesoft Info Services Private Limited, it's my privilege to welcome all of you to this special evening. Transforming governance, AI, risk, and regulatory solutions for tomorrow. Tonight, we bring together some of the most brilliant minds from banking, financial services, government, and technology to explore how artificial intelligence is redefining governance, compliance, and the regulatory landscape of the future. Just a small introduction of myself. My name is Vijay Ansi Harshil, and I'm going to be your host for the evening. And now about Valuesoft. Valuesoft's journey in the UAE since 2024 has been truly remarkable. What began with technology staffing as our foundation has now evolved into a strong portfolio of end-to-end digital transformation solutions across industries. The evening also marks our second successful event at this venue within just 8 months, which is a testament to our growing visibility, credibility, and unwavering commitment to innovation across the UAE and Indian markets. Now that calls for a round of applause. Founded in 2011, Valuesoft Info Services Private Limited is headquartered in Bengaluru, India, with offices in Hyderabad, the US, and UAE, and expanding partnerships across Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Africa. We are proud to be a 27001-2022 ISO and ISO 9001-2015 certified organization, demonstrating our commitment to information security, quality management, and service excellence.
Hi, good evening. First of all, let me thank every single person who have taken the time, traveling all the way during a working day, coming down for an event like this. We are really pleased and we are thankful for all of you. My name is Sridharan Nair. I'm really grateful for getting this opportunity to make an announcement. But before I make an announcement, I want to tell you a story. I've been here for the last 3 decades. I've seen the complete landscape changes that the Middle East has, the UAE has taken care of. It gives me an immense pleasure to stand before you today on a very special occasion for Valuesoft Info Services. I had the privilege of living and working in the UAE for close to 3 decades now, serving in various IT consulting roles. Over these years, I have witnessed this great nation transformation from its early strides in infrastructure to becoming a global hub of innovation, technology, and AI. What makes this journey even more inspiring is the way the Emirati community has embraced and empowered the expatriate population, creating an environment of harmony, respect, and shared growth. My Matrabhumi is India, but my Karma Bhumi, the land that has shaped my professional and dreams, it's United Arab Emirates. In the early year, most local businesses were nurtured and sponsored by visionary Emiratis. As the landscape evolved under the leadership and foresightness of His Highness, we have seen a generation of Emirati leaders who are not only proud of their heritage, but are also deeply invested in knowledge, technology, and global excellence. Today, it is my honor to introduce one such distinguished personality, a man of intellect, vision, and humility. He holds a doctorate degree in information technology with more than 20 years of experience. He is a result-driven digital transformation leader with over 20 years of leadership experience, spanning in telecommunication, financial services, and emerging technology. He has an outstanding track record in driving enterprises, digitization initiatives, intelligent platform automation, data-driven strategy aligned with business goal. A visionary in AI integration, predictive analytics, and automation. We are truly privileged that he has graciously accepted to join the board of directors for Valuesoft Info Services, guiding us with his insight to inspire, guiding us the insight and wisdom as we continue our journey of growth and transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Abdul Rahman Hamadi. I would like Doctor to share some 2 words. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Distinguished guest, team, journalist, and member of Valuesoft family. Truly an honor to be here today and joining Valuesoft exciting journey of transformation and innovation. Over the past 2 decades, my professional path has taken me through a world of telecommunications, financial services, governments, and emerging technologies, each shaping my belief that digital transformation is not just about adopting technology, but about enabling progress, intelligence, and trust. My association with Mr. Hemant, the CEO of Valuesoft Dubai, goes back more than 10 years to our earlier collaboration in the bank and financial sector. Over these years, we have shared the common vision that technology should not merely support business, but shape it, drive it, and future-proof it. What truly inspired me in how Valuesoft embodies that vision, using innovation, automation, and AI-driven intelligence to create measurable business value for clients. Our collective goals has always been to align IT capability with strategic outcome, empowering enterprises to operate smarter, safer, and faster. As I take on this new role as a board member, my focus will be further strengthening Valuesoft mission in the UAE, expanding our impact across banking, government, and telecom sector, and building on the trust we have earned through delivery excellency. Together with Mr. Hemant and the talented Valuesoft team, I look forward to shaping the company's next phase of AI-enabled transformation, driven digital ecosystem that serve not just business growth, but the larger vision of a smarter and more connected UAE. Thank you again for the warm welcome. I am proud to be part of this journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abdul. Thank you so much, Mr. Sridharan Nair. Now, we move on to the exciting part of the evening. I'd like to invite our moderators for the evening, Ms. Anisha Hegde and Mr. Sonanda Bora, to take the session forward. Ms. Anisha Hegde, with over 2 decades of UAE banking experience, leads Valuesoft as Director, Digital and Enterprise Solutions. Mr. Sonanda Bora, also with 2 decades of experience across banking and the public sector, is associated with Valuesoft as a growth specialist, deal maker, and negotiator. Can I have a big round of applause for our moderators for the evening? Thank you so much.
Good evening, esteemed guests. If there's any confusion, I'm Anisha and he's Bora. Well, of course, you've all been already thanked for coming here. I must thank the weather today. Thank you. And we'll ask Google Maps to apologize later. So I know you've been awaiting this moment, and we'll not delay this further. We're here today for the most awaited part, which is the panel discussion on AI risk and regulatory solutions for tomorrow. We have distinguished panelists that bring global expertise in digital transformation, GRC, cybersecurity, and regulatory innovation. So please allow us to welcome our panelists one by one with a round of applause, please. Starting, we'd like to invite Ms. Rini Laskar, who is Head of Technology, Transformation and Governance, named among London's Most Inspirational Women 2019 by Brummel Magazine, and ranked number 16 in Yahoo Finance's Top 100 Ethnic Minority Future Leaders 2020. Former director at UBS, she has led global AI, cloud, and communication transformation programs, and is a passionate advocate for diversity in tech leadership, which gives me more pride to invite her. Please welcome Ms. Rini Laskar. Over to you, Bora.
I'm Bora, Sunandra Bora. Up next, I would like to invite one of the renowned and most friendly faces in the banking fraternity in the Middle East, none other than Mr. Ravi Khanna. Mr. Ravi Khanna, who embodies kind of digital transformation spirit, especially in the banking and financial institutes. So he's one of the C-level suit leadership who comes with over 36 years of experience in primarily Islamic as well as conventional banks. So over the last 36 years, Mr. Ravi Khanna undertook some of the large-scale massive transformation program across core, card and digital channels. So please give us a warm welcome to Mr. Ravi Khanna.
Welcome, Mr. Ravi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we move deeper into this world of digital transformation, the real question every boardroom is asking is, how do we balance innovation with governance, speed with security, and AI with accountability? Well, that's exactly where Valuesoft Info Services is making a difference, helping organizations build intelligence GRC ecosystems powered by AI, automation, and cloud, so that transformation, like Sir Hamadi said, doesn't happen faster, but also smarter and safer. So to take us further into that world, we have with us a visionary leader, Mr. Bala Chandrasekaran, as a panelist. Please welcome him, whose work truly defines transformational governance. A board and executive advisor, a digital transformation and emerging risk leader with over 25 years of working experience spanning GRC, AI, cybersecurity, and quantum risk. He's led enterprise-wide transformation programs across insurance, banking, and other highly regulated sectors, helping organizations not just becoming compliant, but resilient and future-ready. Please give him a round of applause, Mr. Bala Chandrasekaran.
Thank you, Anisa. Up next, I would like to call upon this stage one of the technologists who has passion for data, analytics, and GRC. This is none other than all the way from Switzerland, Mr. Andreas. So Mr. Andreas comes with about 20 years of entrepreneurial experience. He's the managing director and owner of Imberg Consulting. So he's been working with the markets in the Middle East, in the Europe, in the US, and in Africa primarily in the area of shaping the risk, ALM, compliance framework through advanced technologies. Round of applause and welcome to Andreas.
Thanks, Bo, and welcome, Andreas. And now we'd like to introduce Mr. Ashish Sain, a global leader in information and cybersecurity, privacy, and risk management. He's got over 20 years of international experience and having held 22 leadership roles, got deep expertise across all lines of defense that we'll be sharing today, enabling secure digital transformation for top global banks. Welcome, Mr. Ashish Sain. Thank you to our esteemed panelists for joining us this evening. We're excited to have an insightful conversation on AI and intelligent automation, transforming governance, risk, and regulatory frameworks in this fast-changing environment. So I'd like to hand it over to Bora. Would you like to ask the first question for the evening and move it on?
Thank you, Anissa. The primary agenda of this event is to talk about how is AI is going to impact radically on GRC space, right? So I would like to go back to Mr. Andreas. I would want to start with something very, very fundamental, which is very, very basic, foundational. Primarily, if we talk about GRC, it starts with your soup tech, right? So I have friends from Central Bank as well. So if we go back last year, Central Bank had initiated one program, which is, a primarily a soup tech program under FIT. It's called Financial Infrastructure Transformation, right? So this is primarily to do with your adoption of automation for more of a supervisory framework. So Andreas, let's begin with something on the soup tech. So my question to you, how do you see soup tech adoption transforming regulatory supervision across UAE's banking and public sector, especially under the latest CBUAE digital governance, new vision and new framework?
Thank you very much for the question. Let me first put the context of this regulatory technology in the context of this financial infrastructure transformation, which is one of the key pillars, besides other elements like the electronic know your clients, electronic onboarding, to have a digital central bank currency, to have a credit card payment, innovation hub, to invite cross-sectional, cross-industry collaboration. In terms of a good example is this onboarding process, which is happening without any more and more without face-to-face. So this regulatory technology is one of these pillars, and which will then transform the interaction between the banks and the central bank. Mainly, specialized in the BRF reporting, in the banking reporting. Every bank has to provide. The new set will be 134 reports. And what will change is that instead of just providing only the reports, a lot of reports, that we will change smart data. Smart data containing not only the different reports, but data which then also enables the central bank to do its own analytics. And definitely one of the key elements is the real-time processing. We don't need real-time processing for everything, but a good example is the payment, which allows then to exchange quickly, easily, in real-time data and then with a high power, with high computing power, also to do analytics on that. The current landscape is more past-driven, retrospective, and it will be more future. It will be more forward-looking, more active than reactive. A big element of this RegTech is definitely also the enterprise data management. So to have cleansed, proper data, to have a framework, to have a data lineage, so to be able to show from the origin until to the final reporting how the data is transformed. And this, of course, requires big computational power. This requires databases. And again, instead of just providing report, more and more raw data will be provided, which enables central bank to do also its own computation in real time. Actually, I was requested not to speak too long. Is this still okay?
That was perfect. Thank you, Mr. Andreas.
I think on this topic we can go on and talk, but at the later stage, once we kind of wrap this up, then we would open up another 5-minute slot for you, Andreas, to make sure that we kind of do a complete coverage on the fit side. Right? Absolutely.
Well, like you said, to realign things, and with alignment and oversight, technology is only as strong as governance frameworks behind it. So as organizations move fast into digital operations, governance and compliance have to actually catch up. So Mr. Bala, this question is for you. How can institutions strengthen their GRC frameworks to stay compliant within the central bank regulations or say global regulations while maintaining agility?
Interesting one. Okay, I'll stick to 2 minutes. Okay, but I'll paraphrase it by saying that, after the Q&A sessions, I'm available there. I'll try and give you all the insights which I've gathered over my career of 30 plus years. Okay, I've done extensive work in this ASEAN region primarily, and in the UK region as well, primarily working with likes of the Monetary Authority and stuff like that, primarily around transformation and GRC and emerging risks. So with that, so the problem statement, to be honestly, is that we are dealing with what I call as a wicked problem. So wicked problems, which is GRC, don't have a solution, okay? So they are fast evolving, they're changing, compliance and regulations evolve, okay? And it is multi-dimension in that you have multiple stakeholders at any point in time, okay? And you have to attend to needs of all the stakeholders. So fundamentally, you never get a unique solution. All you do is you basically get to a consensus in terms of what you actually built for a GRC framework. The thing with AI and the kind of technology which is evolving right now is that the pace at which this transformation is happening and the scrutiny and the trust factor is actually immediately visible. Okay, that is what is fundamentally changed. Okay, so I see this as 2 dimensions. The one dimension is what I call as the strategic dimensions. In this dimension, you work in frameworks, in regulatory frameworks, defined governance frameworks. That is well understood. It is documented. And it continuously evolves, and you play catch up with it. That's well understood, and we can operate it. The dimension which is not most often considered is the ones where you actually honestly have to win the hearts and minds. This is where people efforts are involved. A GRC transformation typically involves people. How do I move people along with me? Okay, how do I consciously build compliance and regulation into our core frameworks? And how do I do it in spirit? I mean, that is a harder problem to actually resolve. I think we honestly have to bring both these things together. For the strategic initiative, it's fairly straightforward. You could look at your current compliance maturity. You can look at your capability maturity. Then you can actually define a path of, say, 12 months or 18 months. And you can take the organization in incremental steps to make it very visible. Okay, whereas the heart and mind is more of a culture change, okay? That is much more harder, and I honestly think that, we need to put ourselves in front of the transformation. So the GRC folks in the room would have to ask for a seat in the table, demand to be sitting there and actually be part of the business. So two things there has to happen. One is you speak the language of the business. You don't hide behind regulatory conversations. You speak the language of the business. Fundamentally, at the end of the day, the business about, be it banking or insurance, what we are doing is selling a product or a service, okay? Underlying this is the concept of trust, okay? How trustworthy is the business, okay? And in this world where everything is volatile and data is accessible to us, and as Andreas said, the speed at which the data is moving, you don't have a blink's eye before things come to light, okay? So the trust has to be built into the process, it has to be built into the system, and for that, fundamentally, right, the same technology which actually gives you the risk, which is AI, will also help you resolve this problem. So I'll close with this. I'm available at the end. We can take up specific examples. I wanted to talk about 2 or 3 specific examples in my own experience, but we'll probably take that out of the room.
Thank you, Bala. That was really insightful. Like he said, 2 things have to come together, people and AI. We'd like to actually ask the audience if anybody wants to share an insight themselves or have a question at this point of time. Please feel free to raise your hands. Anybody from risk and compliance sector want to ask a question? Okay, so feel free to. We'll move on. Like you said, intelligence plays a role here. AI is the word of the hour. So we know that as Valuesoft, AI is redefining the way risks are identified and managed. So artificial intelligence is now a core part of regulatory modernization, but like the superpower movie says, with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility. So I'd like to ask you, Ms. Rini, how can an AI-driven analytics help regulators and institutions move from reactive compliance to predictive risk supervision? And what governance safeguards must these accompany?
Thank you for giving me quite a long and detailed question to answer. So look, I think we're at an inflection point at the moment in our AI and regulatory journey. We have got, previously we've always been looking at hindsight. Going forward, we will be looking more at foresight. We just have to look at what's happening globally. The EU AI Act, has just come into force this year. Many companies will now have to comply, and if they don't, there's up to 7% of their annual revenues will be payable in fines. But nevertheless, in terms of the predictability and the analytics of AI, absolutely that will be game-changing. If we look at the financial industry, the predictability can help us identify, market abuse, financial crimes, all of this, okay? But in order to make it work, we have to have that trust and that relationship with our regulator partners, okay? We have to be open in terms of how we've developed our algorithms to make sure that they're robust and that they do really address some of the predictability. I think I've answered the first part of your question. If you just remind me what the second part was.
I mean, we just like to, like you said, with AI, of course, cloud plays an important role as its engine. So maybe we'll move on to the question governing cloud. UAE accelerates its cloud-first strategy, compliance and sovereignty becomes non-negotiable. How can institutions ensure data sovereignty, compliance, auditability when migrating to multi-cloud or hybrid environments under the UAE's regulatory regime?
Okay. With cloud, in order for us to make sure that we maintain our data sovereignty, and in order to make sure that, by design we comply, we have to make sure that it's inbuilt in the design, in the cloud architecture, okay? So we have to make sure that we comply with some of the regulatory requirements, which is who accesses the data, how is our data managed, what controls do we have in place for the data, and the localization of the data is key here. And that means that by design, when we create our cloud architecture, although we all know that we have to have our data within this jurisdiction. We've been on that journey at RAC Bank, okay? But when we think about scalability, we also have to think about the design of our cloud infrastructure to potentially be a hybrid or a federated model so we can operate at a more global scale.
Thank you, Rini. That was very insightful as well. Over to you, Bora.
Yeah, I do admire that. The fact is that one side you have your regulators, the other side is the bankers, right? So at the end, there are lots of digital boom happening. Eventually how I see is that it's going to be an ongoing collective effort. Your regulators, bankers, and the technology partners, they should work hand in hand. That's how the future should be. And
absolutely, you have to build that trust because the regulators, at the end of the day, they are not there to beat us with fines. They want to work with us. They want to help make our banks safer. But
Correct.
the problem that we have as businesses and organizations is that we want to grow, we want to do exciting things, we want to balance innovation. So it's managed. It's always getting that fine balance of doing things properly within control and trying to stay ahead of the competition and growing as a business.
Right.
superb. Thank you.
Maybe we'll take some questions. Anybody on AI, cloud, and compliance in those terms? Anybody who have any questions or insights to give? Please raise your hand. We'd like to make it an interactive session, honestly. Anybody?
So I'd like to add a point here.
Yeah, sure.
You're just qualifying what Rini said, right? I think probably we are in a region where we are fortunate that we have a regulator who is actually fairly proactive. To the point which you actually said, right? They're learning along with the organizations because as the speed at which things are moving, right, is very honestly very difficult for EI and even an AI practitioner to keep pace with what is actually happening. So this region is one of the best I've seen in terms of regulatory oversight, where the speed actually matches what is actually happening in the industry. I mean, obviously I come from Singapore, and MAS stands as one of the top there. They're very, very proactive and ahead of the game. But this place is just, easily stands and ranks there, basically. So we're fortunate to be there in this region working with it. So then that honestly would be the foundation for us to innovate quite a lot. Okay, because pace of innovation has to be matched by regulation, because trust has to be built right into the system, as you said.
True as Bala.
All right. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bala. I would like to go across now Mr. Khanna, Ravi Khanna. I have huge respect and high regards for him for certain reason. One is that the amount of experience he's come with. Primarily, he's tested best of both the worlds. He's worked in the traditional, conventional banking space. He's transformed lots of, banks in the, Islamic banking space. Plus, along with that, he's seen he's managed the kind of humongous IT team as a CIO. He's also managed business team as a COO. So it's a proper blending. And I would like to kind of gain some C-suite view from him. The team here is basically, I'm sure, with 36 years of experience, I'm sure you would have seen the initial days where customer stands in a queue with his physical form to create an account in a bank. Vis-a-vis now, we have customers standing with their mobile app. They have internet banking access. They have wallets. Including as of now we speak, customers' wearables are being connected and being tracked. Basically to look at, the way banks have shifted, in digital space. So there are lots of digital boom happening. Banks are moving away from your traditional mainframe, servers to your clouds. From there you go on to microservices, you go on to APIs. And we have, your open banking space. So lots of digital adoption happen. So here again, I'm trying to bring it back to our GRC space because this is where somebody needs to draw some line. And once somebody draws some line, how do you fine tune it for better innovation, right? So my question to Mr. Ravi Khanna. So from your perspective, what shift do you foresee in GRC and SupTech capabilities that will define the next phase of banking, resilience, and compliance?
But I would be very brief at a very strategic level. See, the global and GCC regulators are moving towards data first and AI enabled supervisory model. Okay, so which is launched by as a backbone as SupTech. So now this gives continuous oversight to the regulator for the banks. So the prudent banks would need to change their compliance or the regulatory compliance by using enterprise data model. They have to invest in piloting some AI and ML machine learning based models for predictive liquidity and capital adequacy ratios, looking at their transaction monitoring, anti-money laundering compliance. So all these tools banks have to invest in, and some of the banks are taking lead in that, including Sharia compliant banks and conventional banks. So going forward, the banks who will be ready with the enterprise data management based and AI based regulation framework and solutions in place, I think they will be the resilient partners for the regulator in GCC as well as in UAE. This is at a very strategic level, I think banks have to look at.
Absolutely. So, what do you, Anisa?
No question.
Even we are looking at banking, but of course, if the regulatory framework is in place for any other organization or any government organization, so they should also adopt the AI and ML based compliance model and handle with their regulators. Especially with the tax compliance, this FTA has a lot of corporate tax also in place. So all these framework are coming, and most of the organizations have to, comply with those.
Thank you. I'd love for the audience to ask any question. Maybe we can promise a highly intellectual person award this night. Please feel free. I mean, even insights or any question related to your area where the panelists can answer for you. Yes, it's an opportunity. Definitely, Mr. Ravi. Thank you. Yeah. And we would like to add to that? Really? No hands tonight? No awards tonight? Oh, thank you. Can we have the mic there, please?
Hi, this is Nacho from Central Bank. I have a question regarding the usage of AI LLM model. So when we are using, ChatGPT or any other AI tools or LLM models, although we are supplying some information about the question that we are going to ask, we assume that, okay, it's going to give us the answer that we are looking for. But indirectly, that LLM model is learning our information, and I'm worried that it might use my information to answer somebody else's question. So is there a way for us to ensure that the AI tool or the LLM model is not making use of the data that I am giving to learn or to mature its own model and then answer somebody else? Because I'm from Central Bank, so I need to be more worried about our data should not be leaked. So in one of the recent conversations, I asked Microsoft, okay, if we are going to use Microsoft Copilot, is my data secure? They said, yeah, it's fully secure. But I didn't buy that statement, because although they say that it's going to be only for whatever data that we are giving or whatever information we are giving, whatever documents we are uploading, it's only going to be used for our internal purposes. But I still have a feeling that Microsoft might use those documents to mature their model and then answer somebody else accidentally answer somebody else with some confidential information. So how do I ensure that, and how do I stop that, and how do I ensure that our data is not leaked?
I
Yes,
might
please,
just
Rini.
very quickly opine on this before we have some far more knowledgeable experts here. But I kind of think you've answered your own question, okay? And I think this is the reason why we need some regulation in terms of how we use AI in this jurisdiction. I have on good knowledge, from central bank partners, that they are about to introduce some regulation to prevent this happening. But it goes to my earlier point, is that we're still fairly early in the AI journey, but it's moving so fast that some of the laws and compliance can't keep up with what's going on. But I'm in 100% agreement with you that yes, what is happening to our data, okay, and although we're given the assurances on, nothing's going to happen, you just have to look at what happened with Facebook, okay, and it kind of sends a few shivers. But I'll let some of my esteemed, other guests opine on this.
My take on this is that when you refer that you submit some questions to ChatGPT or Microsoft solution, I think when we are talking of putting our data or our process or our the workflows on any system, so this will be well secured because you have to safeguard yourself against cyber risk. So that's why there will be framework which tells you that when you are setting up this practice of AI and machine learning, you will be developing something internal. You should not be sending anything to platforms like ChatGPT and all that, which is very, very confidential to your organization. This is how I think we have to manage the risk.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, we have a question from Central Bank to the panelists tonight. That was exciting.
Nacho, thank you. Your question takes us to my next question, and thank you, Nacho. So I would like to go across our next panelist, Mr. Ashish Sain. So like my colleague introduced him as an expert in, risk, security, privacy area. So essentially, this is the situation now. So somebody has raised from central bank as well, right? So my question is slightly larger, not only in the context of central bank. So we have, you can call it now epidemic, or you call it rampant. It doesn't stop there. You have lots of, spammers, what do you call cyber fraud, so many things being reported, right? And there are so many things being unreported. And what I have read somewhere in some article, the number runs in millions, that few of the cases are being unreported, right? So those are all unofficial. Now, with so much of digital boom happening here again, so primarily I would want to go back to you, Ashish, and I would want to understand your perspective. How do you see the future of digital trust? Because trust is important, right? Without trust, nothing is going to move and innovation will stop. So how do you see the future of digital trust, privacy and risk governance evolving, especially as regulators adopt SupTech platform to monitor compliance and cyber risk in almost near real time?
Thank you, first of all. So, earlier, like if we have to see, we used to go back and tell central banks or submit through a quarterly reports or a monthly report that yes, we are compliant. Someone has came and audited us, has submitted a report to them, and let them know, okay, yes, these are the gaps which we are resolving. But now, as the real-time monitoring is in place, AI came into picture, many firms are coming up with new innovative solutions. So banks or SupTech, central bank do have a real-time information. The information what you are having, they are also having. At the same time, you have to prove them in a real-time basis that yes, we are compliant. It's not something after a quarter you have to submit a report. So it's something a real-time situation where in fact regulators will come and check with you that how you are letting us know that you are compliant, because we are also monitoring the same thing what you are monitoring, whether in terms of the data privacy, whether in terms of a cyber security, whether it's related to the data security. I think this is making organizations, while they are adopting the AI, on the 4 principles as Bala sir mentioned about the feet: fairness, ethics, accountability, and transparency. So we have to be manage all 4 principles, providing the real-time information to the bank, to the regulators, at the same time, we are also scrutinized by them on a time-to-time basis. So we have to be very, very proactive. We have to ensure our data is accurate. We do have the complete information, what we are talking, or what central bank is also looking here. So the role of a control functions, or maybe the enabling functions, or the governance function within the organization is now more and more difficult. They have to educate they have to also manage the business. They have to also educate the people within the bank to ensure that yes, they are aligned to the regulations, and at the same time they will be able to showcase the compliance to the regulators every moment, not only on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, every moment, every second. So I think that's all.
Thank you so much, Ashish. Thank you. I mean, that was a remarkable set of perspectives. I think we'll have the last set of questions. If anybody, we're almost towards the end of our discussion. Anybody want to ask a last question? Yeah, sure. Can we hand the mic over?
Thank you all for such a great panel. Just wanted to touch upon the aspect of the gap between the regulators and what is happening in reality. I'm not sure if everyone is aware of what happened recently of the report that came out from Deloitte to the Australian government, which had some AI hallucinations in it. So in reality, this shows up a huge gap in terms of where the regulators are and what the reality is happening, where some companies are giving the government some things that are not governed well. So to give a little bit of confidence of bridging this gap between the regulators and what is happening in the reality, if there are some insights that you can give.
Yeah. Who'd like to take this up? Mr. Bala?
I'll take that one. So this is going to happen increasing, okay? I think I would hold the speed at which change happening to be accountable here. Okay, someone like Deloitte having an oversight like that simply mean that you have not faced it, right? I mean, the organization typically has 3 layers of protection in terms of governance, okay? The simple thing a consultant missed here. And this is going to be a norm, basically. I think a lot of discretion and education would be required for the end user and the consumer themselves, basically, in order to discern what is fact, what is fiction, basically. I think this is going to be something we're going to deal with it. There's not going to be a solution. I think frameworks and AI itself will help us mitigate some of these things, but I think we're going to see this in our daily lives. That's my personal take on this.
Thank you, Bala. Thank you all. And we are running short of time, but one quick question from the lady behind there. No, please do.
I'll be very quick. So myself is Salwa Hassan. I'm heading regulatory reporting in one of the big leading bank. So my question to one of the panelists, or maybe partners here. So we've seen like lots of changes, notices in the regulations of the Central Bank of the UAE, especially now the hot topic, the soup tech, and lots of changes in the form, So my question is that, how would the Valuesoft solution, would maintain a transparency and consistencies when it comes to the interpretations, any regulatory changes? Let's say now if we witness any CRMS regulations, any changes in the form, or maybe any GRE's list is coming. So how would your solution would actually capture the up-to-date trend?
I think, Andreas, would you like to answer that? The solution.
Yeah, I think the answer goes in several directions. On one hand, it's about automation, about data automation. That means instead of a manual interaction, there is a whole workflow, as much as possible automated, from data loading, data cleansing, data amending, or mapping on data, so that these reports can be automated as much as possible. This is on the, let's say, on the workflow, on the process point of view. And another answer is that, especially also when it comes to analyze new regulations in terms to what a bank is then affected. And I think their AI is very good at supporting you in this process because you can you can input the regulation, and then AI can help you to identify potential changes. And I think in these directions, Valuesoft can support financial institutions in a very optimal way.
Thank you, Andreas. I hope that answers your question. With that, we'll end the panel discussion for tonight. Thank you for your perspective. As we said, people and innovation technology need to go together. We hope to collaborate more in the future. Thank you so much, panelists and our esteemed guests for tonight. Thank you. Handing it over to NC.
Thank you so much. It's indeed been an incredible and thought-provoking discussion. A heartfelt thank you to all our distinguished panelists for sharing their insights, and to all of you, our wonderful guests, for being part of this engaging session. Mr. Andreas Jack, I would like to invite you once again onto the dais to give a short session on regulatory services and expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have it for Mr. Andreas Jack? Thank you.
Does this one? Yes, this is working. Can you please switch the screen? Yes, okay. The resolution is maybe not that perfect, but I hope you can read it. Our passion, my passion, is data, reporting, and analytics. And our vision is to provide a cockpit for the BRF reporting, which you see here, with all the reports listed. This is the old reporting. The old reporting from BRF1, BRF2, and everything is interconnected. So there is one data source, which is then sourcing all the different BRF reports. And because there is a enterprise data management, there is a data warehouse behind, there is only one time the data, which is then sourcing all the different reports. And instead of doing that manually, it is, so to speak, at the mouse click, and the process is fully automated. Of course, I'm aware that one of the big challenges is data, because data coming from the source system does not often have the quality as we wish. So that means it needs to be analyzed, it needs to be amended. We need to do, as we discussed it before, do mapping of the data. So data management is key to that. But once this is done, all the reports, they must be available at the mouse click. And also that there is always a possibility to drill down to the underlying data, so to see what is actually behind that. Also, that it is a web application, so that means that several people are able to work on the same report. The possibility to make comparison. One of the challenges is in the month-to-month or quarter-to-quarter reporting that there are differences. And then you need to explain why are there differences. So you need to have a tool that is able to show you the differences, to identify the different drivers. So our vision, I think, came true to have this centralized cockpit. And this is something a bank can do, in our opinion, out of this FIT, of this financial infrastructure transformation. The next step is then also, of course, to not to report, to submit the reports themselves, but to submit the data. I think that is then a major step in the future. today, and I only have 5 minutes to speak. We made a presentation, and actually that are my closing words. So we made a presentation, and the person responsible for the BRF reporting had a big smile, and I looked at her, and then was a moment of silence, and she just said, well, a dream came true. Are there questions?
Hi, Andreas. My name is Dr. Harundasi, CIO in the industry here. I'm just not clear because I see you isolating data and components. In EGRC, you have compliance, you have risk, you have SOC, it is just a compilation of a lot of stuff. Where is that single view for the CIO, for the CEO, whoever you want to call him? Where is that single view of risk? Are you presenting it in any form? Is Valuesoft going to put anything together? Because we've moved away from isolated individual reports. You now need to look at this as a consolidated process across various streams, consolidated into a single risk by whatever algorithm, by whatever agent you use. Where are you with this?
Yeah. Okay, that's a very good question. You're fully right. That is very isolated, but this is given as is. I mean, these BRF reports, we cannot change them. However, there are solutions to have also a cockpit that is summarizing all the different key figures and summarizing, for instance, the Basel, the capital requirements, the risk-weighted asset, that is summarizing LCR, NSFR, to have another cockpit view on the calculated, on the derived data. In terms of source data, of course, not everything is sourced the same way. For instance, most of let's say, big part of the BRF reports is sourced from the asset liability, so we can derive it from contracts, we can derive it from GL accounts. But this is, of course, not true for payments. Payments is a different entity, and also operational risk is a complete different entity. So it makes, in my opinion, it makes sense, nevertheless, to have some segregation in types of analysis. But I fully agree with you that the next step is then to have a cockpit summarizing all the different key measures, some kind of a dashboard, which we also offer, but it is not yet shown. It's not shown here. But thank you for the question. I think that's an important one. Because at the end of the day, management, they want to have one pager. I always think we need to be able to summarize anything on a management level on one pager, where you see the most important figures and also a trend of these figures. Any other questions?
Hello, hi Andreas, I'm Neetu. I manage the data delivery for a bank here. My question is, we spoke a lot about web application and how the user can handle BRF. But SupTech talks a lot about data validation rules, 300,000 data validation rules that has to be taken care. There are business validation rules that has to be taken care. Where exactly in this solution are we taking care of those requirements?
Yeah, okay. Data validation, also very good question. The best is always to have the data validation at the source, where actually data is in. But often this is not possible due to technical constraints and also not wanted. And also often the competence, the knowledge is not there to key in the right data in the right quality. So there must be additional steps afterwards for data cleansing, data amendment, and this must be part of the whole process. And I'm aware also that in many cases additional information is kept or maintained manually by specialists, by the credit department, and therefore the data needs then to be merged. So the source data from the source system, from the core banking system, from the trading system, with the specialized data entry from credit compliance, whatsoever. An additional step is then to make corrections in the report itself. This is actually what you see here, this orange cell where you just correct one specific cell, but that should be the last way to correct it, because it only corrects one specific cell but not the underlying data, which is of course not what we want to have, but in reality it happens.
Thank you, Andreas. That helps you.
All right. Thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible. On behalf of Valuesoft Info Services Private Limited, we extend our gratitude to all our partners, Imberg Consulting, Switzerland, Surya FinTech, India, and Emergis for their continued collaboration and support. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Sridhar Nair for the vote of thanks and closing remarks.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time that you have given to us. It really means a lot for us. We are grateful for your time. The dinner and networking is open now. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Enjoy your networking.